Hello there, everyone, and welcome back to the GSL-English podcast. My name is Gideon, and this is a podcast for all learners of English to practice and improve in a relaxed and natural way. And that is exactly what we are going to do today, because this is the January Natter. Now, if you are a returning subscriber or viewer or listener, you'll know that once a month we have an episode which is not scripted in any way at all. Not that these episodes generally are, but we don't have a theme that covers the whole episode. We just talk about some random things together. One, it just gives me a chance to catch up with you guys, things that are going on in my life and my observations. And two, it hopefully gives you the opportunity to listen to British English in its most natural and authentic form. So you can kind of get used to the rhythm, the flow, the intonations and different cultural expressions that I may or may not use. So that's the purpose of this podcast. But as always, I want you to relax and I want you to enjoy the English language. So before we get into it, got a few things we're going to discuss today. You know what I recommend. Get comfortable. Grab a cup of coffee. Grab a cup of tea. As long as the tea bag goes first, then water, then milk. That is the only stipulation for you getting a cup of tea. And I won't debate it anymore. I firmly believe that it is the only way to make a cup of tea. Tea bag, water, then milk, and then sugar if you've got a bit of a sweet tooth. But we won't talk about it anymore. No more discussion. That is the way a cup of tea should be made. I've spoken. I know we're going to discuss that again. I know it's going to come up for discussion in the comments. But that's how I feel. I'm more of a coffee guy myself. I know I'm British. I know I'm from just outside of London. But I love a cup of black coffee. Can't go wrong. But yeah, I hope you're doing well. And I hope for this time with the podcast, you just get a chance to, as I said, unwind a little bit, relax, particularly if you are trying to improve your English whilst living a normal life. Perhaps you don't have time to study. Perhaps you don't have time to go through vocabulary and analyse your English and see where you can improve and take lessons. Don't feel bad. That's normal. You've got a job, you've got a career, you're busy. So I really hope that with this podcast, and particularly this episode, you can just learn some new English, practice your English, get more comfortable with real English, as well as just enjoying it. So the first thing on the Natter, the January Natter agenda, is a very big thank you for the support of last week's episode. Now, if you haven't checked out that episode, I do encourage you to do so, because I would say it's probably been one of my more honest episodes that I've put out there. I spoke about not giving up and the fact that last year I was very close to giving up the podcast. It just kind of got to that point for me mentally and where I saw it going, that might have been an option. But in that episode, I talk about one reason as to why I didn't give up, why you shouldn't give up, but also why a very famous businessman, entrepreneur, creator also did not give up. So if you haven't checked out that episode, please do so. But if you haven't and you left a comment, thank you so much. That was my most commented on video I've put out there. The comments were incredible and so unbelievably encouraging. Yeah, I don't really know what to say apart from thank you. It really did mean a lot. And it kind of brought to my mind that, okay, you're not always going to leave comments on my videos. I'll be honest, I watch YouTube videos weekly from my favourite creators. I don't always leave comments. But that doesn't mean it's not having an impact. And some of you left just, you left comments that really touched me. I couldn't believe how much the podcast means to you, how long you've been listening to me or to the podcast every week. And I was also very touched to realise that for quite a few of you, this podcast has actually helped you improve your English, which I know sounds ridiculous because you think, well, duh, that's the purpose of the podcast. Of course, if it's not helping your English, then you need to stop. But I always have in the back of my mind that perhaps it's not, or there's better out there to help you improve your English. But some of you said that you listen to this every week, and ever since you've been doing that, not only has your English improved, but so has your confidence and kind of your connection with the English language. And that meant so much to me, and it really reinforced the reasons as to why I won't give up this podcast. So I just wanted to start off by saying that. Thank you so much. Thank you for your support. Thank you for the likes. Thank you for the comments. That goes for YouTube and Spotify. You're all incredible. And, let's just keep going on this journey together. So, yeah, always give the video a like and a comment. It helps me out. Been away this week. Went away with some family and friends, which was very, very nice. There's a place in England. Well, actually, there's quite a few of them that are called Centre Parcs. I don't know if you've heard of it before. Centre Parcs. Basically, what it is kind of in a wooded area, a large wooded area. The one that we went to was called Elvedon Forest. And basically, it's like a holiday camp kind of thing. You've got cabins to different degrees, of luxury. And then you've got a sports pavilion, you've got a swimming pool, you've got restaurants. And basically, you just stay within this forest and just relax, unwind, and do what you want. Generally speaking, it's not my wife and myself's cup of tea. It's not the kind of thing we go for. But we went with some friends and family, and we had such a lovely time. And it was really good just to switch off and just spend some time with friends and family. So as I say, we cooked dinner together. We went and played badminton. I haven't played badminton for years, I must say. I was quite proud of myself. I wasn't as bad as I thought. My right arm is killing me today. It made me realise that although I go to the gym from an athletic point of view, I'm useless. So I need to work on my athleticism. Wife was also very good at badminton. Heather, yeah. Got a real kind of hidden skill there. Played that. We played table tennis. We went swimming. We was all big kids going down the flumes and splashing around. And it was a very much needed break. So yeah, that was good. I don't really know why I'm telling you that. I put it on my notes. But in case you wanted to know, last week I had a little break. And it was really nice. But let's get to the main point of this podcast. What we're going to kind of natter about today. Now what we're going to do. We're going to do a random question generator. I don't know why I said it like that. No one really says generator. It just felt right. Generator, if you're looking for the decent pronunciation. Generator, if you want to get all fancy with it. And generator. I like that. Who's to tell us we're wrong, eh? Yeah, random question generator. So I think the last time we did this was about a year ago. Yeah, I think about a year ago. Oh, probably over a year ago. And it actually just came up. You get like a sidebar when you're scrolling on certain internet pages. And it came up and I clicked on it. I thought, it gave me some good questions. So we're going to do that again. Now, I have no idea what questions it's going to throw at me, but I'm just going to answer them. But what I encourage you to do, so I'm just going to read the question out loud. Think about your answer in English, or even better, pause this episode and say your answer out loud. Ooh, there's an idea. Give it a go. Just practice expressing your thoughts in English. But if you can't do that, try and formulate your answers, your opinions, what you think about the question in English in your mind. And even better, share any answers in the comments. If you agree with me, let me know. If you disagree, let me know. If you've got a completely different perspective on the question, let me know in the comments. So, here we go. Random question generator. Oh, and by the way, if you are new here and you're wondering why you're holding the microphone, whenever I do these January Natter these Natter episodes, not just January, every month, I've just got in the habit of holding the microphone. I like it. Mixes it up a little bit. Makes me feel like a host of some level of skill. That's why I hold it. All right, here we go. First question. What's it come up with? Ooh, pancakes or waffles? Okay, this might be a bit controversial. I'm not really either. I'm not a big fan of pancakes or waffles for breakfast. My wife loves it. You know, she could have pancakes. If we go on holiday, she'll have pancakes, maple syrup, honey, blueberries, everything. But I'm not really a pancake or waffle person. They don't float my boat. I like a good fry-up. Or a bacon sandwich or a sausage sandwich. Beans on toast. More savoury based than this. So, pancakes or waffles? I think I'll go waffle just because of the complexity of the shape. I think you're offering more with a waffle. Pancakes just flatten it. I'm not going by taste at all here. Just by shape, I'm going to choose waffle. But I'm really not. I definitely have a sweet tooth. But in the evenings, give me a chocolate bar in an evening and I will annihilate it. It's gone within seconds. But in the morning, I'm more of a savoury person. Good old-fashioned fry-up. I'm talking hash browns, baked beans, sausages, fried toast, scrambled egg, tomatoes. Have I covered everything? I don't know. But yeah, that's more my preference. All right, next question. What are you a natural at? So it's an interesting question. When you talk about being a natural at something, you're basically suggesting that you're naturally gifted or naturally talented. What's interesting, when that question came up, my natural instinct is to say I can tell you what I'm not a natural at. What am I a natural at? Well, it's definitely not cooking. I'm not a natural at cooking. I like cooking, but I'm not a natural. I've got to follow a recipe and I've really got to think about it. I'm not a natural artist at all. I'll tell you what. I'd say what I am natural at. I don't know whether I can just isolate it to the drums, but I think I have a natural musical ear. What I mean by that is I can often pick up timings, I can isolate sounds in music, and if I put myself to learning an instrument, my experience has taught me that in a humble way, I will pick up that instrument fairly quickly, and it was particularly the case for me with drums. As soon as I got on a drum kit, I felt comfortable. I remember that first day, parents came home with a drum kit, which I think for every day after that they regretted. I came home with a drum kit and I was hooked. As soon as I sat in it, I just felt comfortable. And I remember every time I played, getting a little bit better. So although I think as we've spoken about many a time in this podcast, we beat ourselves up, we're our own worst enemies, I'd say I'm a natural at the drums. And music, picking up music, isolating sounds, and music knowledge and trivia, I'm pretty good at. I think it runs in my family. My granddad was a musician. He was a saxophonist. He played the saxophone and he's not around anymore. He passed away this time last year, actually. But he played with some great musicians. He even played with Nat King Cole in his band at the Royal Albert Hall. So that was a real achievement. It's something I'm quite proud of. So, yeah, I guess music's in my blood. Music's in... Oh, yeah, I'll say natural at music. It runs in the family. My brother's a great guitarist. My parents aren't. I hope they don't listen to this, but they're not musicians at all. They like music. You know, I grew up on the Rolling Stones, Blur, Dolly Parton, all of those kind of... Yeah, all of those musicians or groups or bands, but they're not musicians, so to speak. So yeah, a natural at the drums. What about you? What are you a natural at? Next question. Who inspires you to be better? That's quite a deep question. So when we talk about inspiration, it's what's basically we're saying, what's your drive? Who drives you? Who is the reason that you get up every day and think, I'm going to be a bit better? I don't think I could isolate this to one person, really. But I guess kind of the main inspiration. So if you just heard a bang or something, I got some paint for my room, for the office here, and it's just made a really strange noise. So we'll find out afterwards if that's leaking. A little bit worried about that. Logic would say I pause the podcast and check out the paint can on the floor, but I'm not going to do it. You come first. So yeah, inspiration. I don't think I can really tie this down to one person, so to speak. But I would say, generally speaking, probably family. Family, for multiple reasons. One, there's that element that you want them to be proud of you. I guess for my wife, for my parents, you want to be able to provide, you want to be able to give them nice things, offer them nice things. But it's not just about money, is it? So to be better. And I take that question on quite a personal level and talking about personality and who you are on the inside. So I don't know whether this is the right or wrong answer, but I guess it's myself. Because, for example, with the podcast, you want it to be better than the last. You want to improve. With other forms of work that I do, you want to be better. You want to increase. You want to grow. On a musical level, you want your drumming to improve. So I guess the inspiration for me probably mostly is myself or my past self. But that sounds a bit almost like narcissistic, doesn't it? But yeah, I think that's true. Family first and foremost. I want to be better in many ways for them. But yeah, also yourself. Who or what inspires you to be better? Let me know in the comments. What we got next? What have you created that you are most proud of? What have you created? I don't think I'm a very creative person. Because my mind, when I get this question, where does your mind immediately go? Mine goes to art or creations in that kind of sphere. But I guess when you talk about creating something, it can be anything. So at the moment, do you know what? Going by last week's episode and the response to it, I would say the thing that I've created that I am most proud of is probably the podcast. Currently, I'm sure there's much deeper answers than that, from childhood to teenage years. But the podcast and the community that we've created, yeah, I'm really proud of it. Particularly, yeah, as I say, after last week's episode, that realisation of how much of an impact it has had on some of you incredible people. I guess that's the creation that I'm most proud of. The podcast, the community. Yeah, I think that's it. All right, next one. What's on your bucket list this year? Oh, good one. Now, I'm not really a bucket list person. So technically, a bucket list is things that you want to do before you die. So I don't believe in that. I don't go by that. But what's on your bucket list this year? So let's rephrase it to what's something that you really want to do this year, or is on your must do this year. It's funny actually, but my wife and I were talking about this. I think on the drive home. I think it was a drive home from our week away. And we were saying just some things that we really want to do this year. And we like a glass of wine, my wife and I like a glass of wine. And here in Kent, we're starting to get quite a few vineyards pop up. So a vineyard, of course, where they make their own wine. Used to be really bad, but they're actually getting quite good. So what we said was within an hour or two of where we live, we'd like to go and visit all of the vineyards just to taste their wine, just to see if it's any good. And often it's a nice afternoon out. You can go for a walk around the rolling hills of the English countryside. They call Kent the It's called Kent the Garden of England for a reason. So that's on my list this year, just to enjoy that with my wife. Just going around the vineyards, checking them all out, tasting the wine, seeing what we like, seeing what we don't like. But what else is on my list of things to do this year? I'd love to go to the Formula One at Silverstone. You know I'm a big Formula One fan. I don't think that's going to happen. It's a little bit pricey, and I think they've already sold out. So for goodness sake, if anybody here is associated with Formula One and you'd like to get me a ticket, go ahead, please. I'd be really grateful. I'd have such a great time. Pizza or tacos? Pizza. All the way. Every day. Pizza. Mountains or ocean? I'm a mountain guy. And actually, this is quite a bit of a divisive issue between my wife and I. She loves the ocean. She's a real ocean baby. She loves it. Whereas I love mountain ranges. I really enjoy being in the woods, even if it's raining, a cabin in the woods with a fire, the element of survival, or a tree house, and just being up high, and that fresh air and the oxygen from all the... I love it. But my wife, she loves the ocean. And we met in the Dominican Republic. She was living out there, living by the beach, loves the sea. She always just, if we're by the ocean, she wants to drive to it. Here in England, can we drive to the ocean? Can we drive to the coast? And she likes picking up stones, dipping her feet in the sea, which I do like, don't get me wrong. I even love surfing wherever we go. But if I had to choose, if it was my choice, I would say mountains. There's something about it, just being in the mountains, I absolutely love. There's one YouTube channel I really enjoy called The Outdoor Boys. Quite a famous YouTube channel. He doesn't actually put out any episodes anymore. I think he's kind of retired from the YouTube world. But he does these like survival videos, often in mountain ranges or in Alaska, in quite harsh environments, where he'll build a fort, he'll build a fire, he'll cook for himself and survive out there on real minimalist, minimal supplies. And I always think to myself, I'd love to do that. Whether I could, whether I've got the stomach for it, whether I could actually go through with it, I don't know. But whenever I see him out in the snow, in the mountains, with a fire, cooking on a stove that he's made, food that he's made, waking up to the sunrise, and something quite appealing about it for me. But maybe that's just mental, and if you put me in that situation, I'll probably just hate it. But yeah, mountains all the way. What are you interested in that most people haven't heard of? What are you interested in that most people haven't heard of? I've got an answer for this one. I'll try not to talk about cars too much. You know I'm a car lover. But something that I love is called the BTCC, the British Touring Car Championship. Now, if you are into racing cars, you've got to check it out. It is, I think, one of the best, most lively, most interesting race events around the world for the year. I much prefer it to Formula One. I'm a big Formula One fan, but let's be honest, you're not watching racing these days. Maybe it'll be different this year, but you're just watching cars go around the track for 2 hours. Touring cars, really interesting. And funnily enough, my wife loves it now. So I remember we were dating. We're staying at my parents'. I said to my wife, look, there's something I love. It's called the touring cars. I would love to take you for a weekend. I was a little bit nervous about it because it's something that I like so much. I thought I really want her to like it. And she hadn't been to many things like that. So I said, look, we're going to go for the weekend. It's not a game changer if you don't like it. But I'd really, really hope you do enjoy it. And I want you to be completely honest. So I booked tickets for our local racetrack, Brands Hatch. So we go the Saturday and Sunday. And she absolutely loved it. But for me, what it is about the touring cars is the racing is so intense. So throughout a weekend, there's 3 30-minute races, and they just go hell for leather. They just don't hold back. They properly race. If there's a gap, they'll go for it, you know. And what my wife loved about it was the vibes, was the atmosphere at the event. So you could walk through all the pits, there's all families, there's music playing, they're fixing their cars, you know, you can get some great food, you're in the sun because it's at summertime. So that's something that we as a couple are really interested in. We follow it throughout the year. And if you are in England, if you're living in England, which I know many of you are, or actually I think quite a lot of you, particularly on Spotify, live in Spain, if you get a chance, come over to England and go to the British touring cars at any of the tracks that they do it at. I'd recommend Brands Hatch. If you go to Brands Hatch in May, I'll meet you there. So if you do get tickets and you listen to this and you go to the touring cars in May at Brands Hatch, let me know and we'll have a drink together. We'll have a coffee. I'll get you a coffee. Well, that could be dangerous doing that. But yeah, no, if you're going to touring cars, let me know. But yeah, highly recommend it. So that's something that I'm interested in that I would say most people haven't heard of. All right, next question. What's your favourite piece of clothing you own? Recently, I've been getting into like the 3/4 zips, you know, the pullover jumpers. You might have noticed that I'm wearing them on the podcast. I do love a flannel overshirt. But my favourite piece of clothing that I own, I love a suit. So I like suits. I like a 3-piece suit. So I'm talking trousers, blazer, waistcoat with a nice fitting shirt, a nice tie, polished shoes. I don't know, I like looking smart. Like if my wife and I, if we go to the theatre, we dress up, even if we sometimes look a bit silly compared to everyone else. Yeah, I'd probably say my wedding suit. That's my favourite piece of clothing I own. Not just because it's the wedding suit, but I had it kind of custom tailored to myself. I had the date of our wedding stitched into the pocket, and you feel good wearing it. And at the moment, I can still just about fit in it. Put on a bit of weight since got married. That's what they say, it happens when you're happy. But yeah, that's probably my favourite piece of clothing that I own. What's next? We can tell this is American. What's your favourite candy? We don't say candy, we say sweets. What's your favourite sweet? Marvellous Creations chocolate by Cadbury's. If you know, you know. If you don't know, check it out. What's the last book you gave up on and stopped reading? Oh, I actually have an answer to this. Yeah, I've got an answer to this. I'm a big Star Wars fan, and I thought I want to go through a lot of the books and the lore and the canon of Star Wars. So I started reading Darth Plagueis. If you are a Star Wars fan, you'll know who he is, but I'm not going to go into details, but I gave up with it. I got a little bit bored and I couldn't keep up. And I know it's a great book. I know I should keep on going with it. But yeah, I gave up on it and I stopped reading. All right, let's go for one more question. Who is one of your best friends and what do you love about them? What a lovely question to end on. I promise, by the way, these were not planned. I didn't know what questions were going to come up. I'm going to give a really cheesy answer here, and I think you know what I'm going to say. My wife, Heather. She is my best friend. Yeah, she's awesome. She's fun. She tells me when I'm wrong. She keeps me in line. She looks after me. She's great to be around, and if I had the choice to hang out with anyone, it would most certainly be her. So yeah, she is my best friend. Yeah, that's about it. Bit of a cheesy answer, isn't it? But it's true. It's true. Not that she listens to the podcast. She'll have no idea I even said that nice comment. So do me all a favour and let her know. But there you go. All right. Should we do one more? Or not? I can't get an answer from you because you'll watch this after it's recorded. So I'm going to say that you said yes. What would you do on a free afternoon in the middle of the week? If I'm by myself, probably go to the gym. If I'm with my wife, friends or family, we'll go down the pub and we'll play some cards. There you go. So if you did play along with that, if you answered any of the questions, let me know what you came up with in the comments. If you enjoyed that relaxed episode, we could do it more often. You know, every other month, maybe just do a random question generator. And of course, the idea of this is, one, for you to relax and just enjoy the English language. But random questions are a brilliant way to get you thinking in English. You're that quick fire response. So if you are looking for something to do in English to improve your thinking, your speaking, just that thought process, just on Google, on ChatGPT, and just ask for random questions or random question generator. And it'll give you questions. It will give you, stuff to talk about. Brilliant exercise to do. So once again, you amazing people, thank you for all your support. Thank you for watching, for listening to this podcast. It means the world to me. Keep doing what you're doing. Have a great week. Got an interesting topic for next week, which I think I'm gonna prepare about being successful. What is success? So there you go. So if you got to this point in the podcast, I would like you to write random. Random is the code word to show that you are committed and you listen the whole way. Thank you again. Have a great week, and I'll see you all soon. Have a good one, guys.